it was crazy. My aunt, she had her own corner store, and my uncle, he worked at the paper company, but he would always, like come home, give my cousins stuff to sell at her school. So he had the tablets, the notebooks, pencils and stuff. Wow. So it was her grinding that way too. Yeah. Then my aunt, with her store, she was selling candy. So she had a knack where my cousin was doing it, and I would always see them with money, and I would always think my uncle and them, they was rich, man. I was like, man, y'all always, you get my cousin, he got whatever he wanted. The boy, he was the only boy out of the two girls, and then they really didn't want for nothing. So I was like, man, they rich over there, and just knowing that they, had that entrepreneurship spirit, and they both was working a regular 9 to 5, and then my aunt, she ended up started her business for the corner store. So she started working and did that full time to, situations happening. She had to close the store down. Yeah. But, I always seen my family working and stuff like that. And it got to a point where I was like, man, I want to make money too. Yeah. Being young, seeing it. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Gotcha. So yeah, you was around that in your family. It was already doing things in regards to business. So that was a huge inspiration on you. Even though you started off with the stealing part, right? Yeah. Yeah. A little bit unethical in the beginning stages, but you still was learning entrepreneurship because you was selling the candy, and then, like you say, you had family members as well running businesses. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, at the end of the day, we ended up moving to Decatur, and I went to Columbia Elementary. Okay. And so I'm going back to elementary school. Yeah. So from middle school. Middle go to Columbia Elementary. Wow. Yeah. So it was a thing when I got to 7th grade, man, I'm going back to elementary school. Yeah. So, I was a patrol for like the 3rd time. Oh, wow. School patrol, yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Wow. Middle school back to elementary. Yeah, that's definitely different. Yeah. Yeah, because I went to Snapfinger Elementary. And what I can say is, being in 7th grade, still in school with kindergartners and stuff like that, the 1st graders, is totally different, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's way different. Yeah. So you came out of Columbia Elementary, then you went over to Columbia High. Yep, straight over to Columbia High. Okay. It was pretty cool, man. It wasn't a bad experience because my older brother was there. Yeah. And then plus, I knew a lot of people where I went to church at. Everybody stayed on the east side. Yeah. And so I stayed on the west side, and I was always going over there because my aunt stayed in Decatur. Yeah. So we would go over there to her church, and then I knew all these people, like from the dudes to the women, all of them. So when I got to Decatur, it wasn't that bad, So I knew a lot of people in high school. Like everybody talked about the bullying and stuff. Never really seen it when I got to high school. Yeah. Plus I was big for my size, so it was kind of a thing, too. I messing with you, Rasheed. Yeah. Because while we was at Columbia, you got into wrestling. And like you said, that started from your childhood, but you got into wrestling. Let's talk a little bit about that. Oh, man, those were the best years, of high school, getting into wrestling, man. Started off, and it was crazy. I got into it because I wanted to play basketball, actually. And the basketball coach was the 8th grade football coach. All we did was condition. So when I got to get ready to go play basketball, he was the basketball coach. And I was like, nah, man, I'm not finna be running. I'm trying to shoot threes. And I'm trying to get my Michael Jordan on because, I had a basketball goal in my backyard. And, like, when I was in the 8th and 9th grade, we used to have all the hoods. Everybody, Rosewood, everybody, all over. They came to my house. We balled for the hoods over there. So no Irish Lane, McAfee, Snapping, everybody come over there. You had to rep your hood in my backyard. And then you came out. I'm sitting right in front of Columbia High School. And that was the crazy part. I remember you stayed right across the street. And I was literally late. Probably all the time, man. All through high school. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I used to hear about that, Rasheed, man. You was always late. You stayed right across the street. Bree told me that. Hey, man. And then the crazy part about it was one of the teachers, Miss Ireland, she was going to fail me because she found out I stayed across the street. So Coach Miller came to the class and he was like, hey, when you get out of this class, go get the medical kit because we got to meet this afternoon. Go get it from your house. So I was like, cool. And she was like, he stayed too far. Because, this was the running joke in the class. Yeah. So she came in one day. She was like, Rasheed, why you late every day? And I'm talking about this going into the second semester now.
Yeah.
She's like, you late every day. I think it's probably like more like February or something, almost towards the end of the school year. So I'm like, well, if I walk to school, it's faster than catching a bus. And she was like, why don't you catch MARTA? I was like, if I wait on the bus, I might as well walk and I get there faster.
Right, exactly.
But literally, she didn't know all this stuff was transpiring right in front of the school.
Right.
So I never lied about it, though.
Yeah.
That was the thing. I never lied about it.
Yeah.
I just embellished on it and didn't really give her the whole story.
Yeah.
And so the crazy part, man, when she heard that from Coach Miller, she was like, oh, you about to fail my class now. So what she started doing was actually doing like a quiz, a 5-question quiz at the beginning of class. So if I didn't catch it, I actually, quizzes count more, like towards the tests.
Right.
They count more. Man, I think I ended up getting like a 60-something or like 50-something in the class because I wasn't taking I had to get up, start getting up early, coming into school, doing my work. I passed the class. I passed like with an 86 because, I started going in there doing them quizzes. And she was like, I'm going to get you to come to class. I'm going to get you to come to class. But with that, man, wrestling, man, got into there. And I just started liking it more and more, man. Then hanging around, Bree and all the other guys, Todd, Marquise. It was a brotherhood. So, we had some, things that we wanted to get done. And so going into state, we would always fall a little short of state, man. But county and area, we had it on lock. You know what I'm saying? Nobody. 4-time county area champions. Like every year we broke a record of the highest points made as far as county and area. We was dominating. Even after we left, Zerb and them kept it going. Zerb and Josh. And then that last year, I actually ended up coaching going into that second year I graduated. And Cameron and Jawan, little brother, Robeson. Xavier. Robeson, He that was the last year. Coach Miller and them was all joined together, and I was helping them coach. And I was like, man, we had a phenomenal team. Coach Miller and them showed us about teamwork. Outside the mat, we did our work because we had to wrestle. I ain't gonna say the guy name, but one of them, he kind of experienced that because he didn't, kind of messing around and playing, and the teacher ended up failing him, man, and he couldn't even go to state, and he was candidate to probably be the number 1 person to win state, man.
Dang.
And that hit him so hard.
I bet.
Man, and so he took it serious from that point. Everybody else, man, we was like, man, it's like life for us, man. So being at that moment, nobody wanted to fail. And Coach Miller was like, that was a prime example because that was one situation where I know he regretted it to this day, man. But, when he got back his senior year, he came out on top, man. He came out on top.
So he got the books handled in terms of the schoolwork. Alongside wrestling,
Yeah, because that was one of the biggest things that they didn't play with because they say, man, you can wrestle all day, but if you don't have the book smarts to it, man, you ain't gonna go far in life because this is just high school.
Right. Exactly.
Coach Johnson always told us, man, I'm not preparing you to just wrestle at me. I'm preparing you for life.
Right.
Giving life lessons, talking to us. I still talk to those guys to this day. I still coach, help Coach Miller at North Druid Hill, man.
Okay.
He moved around Tucker. I was over there too.
Okay.
Yep.
That's great stuff, Rasheed. I love it.
Man.